Chapter 11: The Great Uprising of 1857. During the British Raj, there was discontent and anger among the people of India due to the political, social, and economic policies followed by the British government in India. The British introduced many expansionist and unjust policies to fulfill their intention of becoming a big political power in India. The British fought many wars in India with different regional powers from 1700 to 1857, like the Carnatic Wars, the Battle of Plassey, Anglo-Mysore Wars, Anglo-Maratha Wars, and the Anglo-Sikh Wars. The cumulative effect of these policies, exploitation, and administrative innovations over the years adversely affected the positions of all the sections of the Indian society. All this led to uprisings against the British in many parts of India. Many of these revolts were suppressed from time to time by the Britishers, but tension continued to simmer below the surface that finally resulted in the form of revolt of 1857, in which millions of peasants, artisans and soldiers participated. It shook the British government to its very foundation. This event came to be known by different names such as the Sepoy Mutiny, the Indian Mutiny, the Great Rebellion, the Revolt of 1857, the Indian Insurrection, and India's First War of Independence. The revolt of 1857 took place in northern and central India between 1857 to 1858. This revolt was started by the Sepoys in Bengal. Sepoys was the name given to Indian soldiers in the British Army. But it soon spread and took on the form of a mass rebellion against the British rule. Mass rebellion means when a large number of people participate in a revolt against someone. The impact of the revolt was so widespread that it is also referred to as the Great Uprising of 1857. There were many causes for the revolt of 1857. These can be grouped as economic causes, political causes, social and religious causes, and military causes. First, we'll discuss about the economic causes. The economic policies of the Britishers adversely affected each and every section of the Indian society. The British exploited the natural and economic resources of India to their advantage and drained her wealth by crippling the Indian trade and industry. Under the British, India turned into a colonial economy to serve the British capitalist interest. The British forced Indians to produce cash crops like cotton, jute, and indigo, as well as the food grains which were in short supply in Britain. The British used India as a source of raw material for its own industries in England. Soon, India became a country supplying raw materials to England. The British manufactured finished goods from Indian raw materials in their factories in England and later on exported these finished goods back to India, making huge profits for the company. Gradually, India became an importer of British-made goods and an exporter of raw materials and food grains depriving India of her agricultural surplus. As a result of the British policy of making India a raw material producing country, Indian handicrafts and cottage industries suffered a lot, resulting in a widespread poverty and unemployment among the masses. In addition to this, there were severe famines, means shortage of food, which crippled the life and economy of Indian people. These grievances left the Indian people dissatisfied of the British, eventually leading them to be the bitter enemies of the Britishers. Political causes. There were many political causes that antagonized, means angered the Indian rulers against the British rule. The British policy of control and gradual extinction of the native Indian states was one of the major grievances of the Indian rulers. Ever since the Battle of Plassey, the East India Company's territorial power increased rapidly. Many Indian rulers lost their territories after the British conquest of India. The British tried to expand their political power in India by various methods like direct wars, subsidiary alliance, and doctrine of lapse. Subsidiary alliance. The subsidiary alliance was an agreement which the British concluded with many Indian rulers. Under this alliance, the British promised to protect the Indian rulers from external attacks and internal disturbance too. Indian rulers who joined this system enjoyed a sense of security against other Indian rulers, but they suffered a loss of independence as in return they gave away many of their powers to the British and became largely dependent on them. Doctrine of lapse. This system was introduced by Lord Dalhousie, which implied that if an Indian ruler died without a natural heir, his kingdom would automatically lapse to the British. An adopted heir could not become the ruler of such a state. Many kingdoms were annexed, including Satara, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Nagpur, Jhansi, and Awadh. Such policies of the Britishers caused resentment and insecurity among the affected rulers. The British refused to grant Nana Sahib the pension they were paying to Peshwa Bajirao II, his father, as he was the adopted son of him. Other than this, he was forced to live at Kanpur, far away from his family seat at Pune. This was widely resented in the Maratha region, that caused Nana Sahib to revolt, and in 1857 he led the attack on Kanpur. Begum Hazrat Mahal, also known as Begum of Awadh, present-day Lucknow, was the second wife of Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. She also rebelled against the British East India Company during the Indian Rebellion of 1857, as she was also upset with the British policy. Rani Lakshmibai. She was an Indian queen of the Maratha princely state of Jhansi in northern India, currently present in Jhansi district in Uttar Pradesh, India. She was one of the leading figures of the Indian Rebellion of 1857 and became a symbol of resistance to the British Raj for Indian nationalism. She became a bitter enemy of the British when her adopted son was not accepted as the heir to the throne by Lord Dalhousie under the policy of doctrine of lapse. A number of patriotic songs had been written about her deeds and valor. The most famous composition about Rani Lakshmibai is the Hindi poem Jhansi Ki Rani, written by Subhadra Kumari Chauhan, an emotionally charged description of the life of Rani Lakshmi Bai. It is often taught in schools in India. Here I am reading out one popular stanza from the poem. सिंहासन हिल उठे राजवंशों ने भ्रुकुटी तानी थी बूढ़े भारत में आई फिर से नई जवानी थी गुमी हुई आजादी की कीमत सबने पहचानी थी दूर फिरंगी को करने की सबने मन में ठानी थी चमक उठी सन 57 में यह तलवार पुरानी थी बुंदेले हर बोलों के मुंह हमने सुनी कहानी थी खूब लड़ी मर्दानी वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी. Social and religious causes. The British government attempt to interfere in the social and religious life of the Indians led to the widespread fear among the masses. The social reforms introduced by the British were looked upon with suspicion by the conservative sections of the Indian society. Ignoring the sentiments of the people, the government passed many laws aiming at improving the conditions of people in India. They introduced measures for the legalization of widow remarriage and introduced the Widow Remarriage Act in 1856, whereby the widows were allowed to remarry. This right was not given to the widows in earlier times. They also abolished means put a ban on sati system. It was a social evil whereby a recently widowed woman, either voluntarily or by force, immolates means burnt herself alive on her deceased husband's pyre. They also brought in laws that banned child marriage, that was a common custom in India at that time, wherein the children below the age of 18 were married at a very early age. They also worked for the improvement of women's education and they introduced Western education in India. The conservative sections of Indian society felt that a foreign government had no right to interfere in or to reform means bring changes in the religious and social customs of India. The conservative section also viewed the works of missionaries like William Carey with suspicion. They believed that the social work carried out by the missionaries was actually a means to spread Christianity in India. Military causes. The above causes discussed had prepared a ground for rising, but it could not erupt as long as the Indian soldiers were loyal to the English. But there were several causes that roused discontentment means anger among the sepoys as well, who started the uprising of 1857. The sepoys formed backbone of the British Army in India. But even though the sepoys were as good and hard-working as British soldiers, they were humiliated by the British. Indian sepoys helped the Britishers to establish their empire in India. But instead of receiving awards and promotion, there was discrimination between Indian and British soldiers. An European soldier was paid more than 8 times an Indian soldier, while their duties were of a similar nature. Highest post given to the Indian sepoy was that of a subedar. Their living conditions as compared to those of European soldiers were unfavorable and were very much different. During the two Burmese War of 1824 and 1852, the Indian soldiers were expected to cross the Bay of Bengal. According to traditional belief, it was a taboo, means curse, for a Brahmin to cross the seas. The British Parliament passed the General Service Enlistment Act in 1856, according to which Indian soldiers could be sent overseas on duty. The Brahmin soldiers saw in this a danger to their caste, as they used to consider this as Kala Pani. The Hindu soldiers resented this new order. There was a myth prevailing among the soldiers that the English were invincible, means they cannot be defeated, but the defeat of the English in many wars at that time broke out this myth. The sepoys who had fought in campaign abroad now knew that they could fight as well as the British soldiers. They also knew that they were in much greater numbers than the British soldiers, and this gave them the confidence to revolt against the British. Immediate cause of the revolt of 1857. In 1856, the British authorities decided to replace the old-fashioned musket called the Brown Bess by the new Enfield rifle. The loading process of the Enfield rifle involved bringing the cartridge to the mouth and biting off the top greased paper with the help of teeth. By 1857, already the environment for a mass uprising was ready, only a spark was needed to set it on fire. That was triggered by the greased cartridges. In January 1857, there was a rumor in the Bengal regiment that the greased cartridge had the fat of cow or pig. The sepoys were now convinced that the introduction of these cartridges was a deliberate move to defile Hindu and Muslim religions, as the cow is sacred to Hindus and pig is a taboo to Muslims. So both the Hindus and the Muslim soldiers refused to use these cartridges, and when force was used against them by the Britishers, they became infuriated, means extremely angry and impatient, and finally rose in revolt. The Great Uprising started from Barakpur in Bengal when a Brahmin sepoy named Mangal Pandey refused to use the greased cartridges on 29th March 1857, and when he was forced to use them, he attacked Lieutenant Bogg, causing a major uproar. He was, however, captured soon and executed, means hanged to death on 8th April 1857. Today, he is regarded as a brave freedom fighter, and the Indian government has issued a postage stamp in his honor. For his fellow sepoys, he became a martyr. Spread of the revolt. News of the events that happened in Bengal Regiment spread like a wildfire all over the country. On May 9, 1857, 85 Indian soldiers in Meerut, a town in Uttar Pradesh, refused to touch the cartridges on the parade ground. For this, they all were dismissed from their services and were sentenced to 10 years of rigorous imprisonment. On May 10, all the sepoys at Meerut rushed to the jail and set free their comrades, means fellow sepoys and other convicts, and killed some British officers. The sepoys then marched to Delhi and captured it, and proclaimed Bahadur Shah, the Mughal emperor, as their leader and emperor of India. After this, the revolt spread to many parts of northern India. The struggle was led by Nana Sahib in Kanpur, Begum Hazrat Mahal in Lucknow or Awadh, Khan Bahadur in Bareilly, Rani Lakshmi Bai in Jhansi, Kumar Singh in Ara, Bihar, and later on it spread out to East Punjab region also. One of the main leaders of the revolt was Tatya Tope. He helped Nana Sahib when Kanpur was annexed. After this, he extended his support to Rani Lakshmi Bai of Jhansi. Rani Lakshmi Bai has been described by the British as the bravest and best of the military leaders of the rebels. Bitterly angry with the British for annexing Jhansi, she joined forces with Tatya Tope. Together, they seized the fortress at Gwalior, but the British took it back in June 1858 after defeating Tatya Tope and Rani Lakshmibai. The Rani died fighting bravely on horseback. Tatya Tope escaped but was captured by the British soon after and was executed. With their deaths, the Great Uprising of 1857 came to an end. The great sacrifice of Rani of Jhansi is still remembered by every Indian. She would ever be a source of great inspiration for all of us. End of the revolt. In spite of the widespread nature of the revolt, it was suppressed within a year. The British recaptured Delhi in September 1857. Bahadur Shah was captured and was exiled to Burma, where he died later on and his sons were killed. Delhi was ransacked by the British and rebel soldiers were put to death. By June 1858, the British had defeated the rebels completely and crushed the revolt. Consequences of the revolt. The first consequence was the rise of nationalism. Revolt served as a source of inspiration for future nationalists. In this sense, the revolt of 1857 may be considered as the first war of Indian independence. The next consequence was the end of the Mughal dynasty. The victory of the British in the revolt marked the end of Mughal rule in India. The most significant result of the uprising of 1857 was the end of the 100 years old rule of the East India Company and assumption of the government of India directly by the Crown. Now, the government of India passed into the hands of the British Queen. From 1858, Queen Victoria became the ruler of India. This was done by the Government of India Act of 1858. The Governor General was now to be known as the Viceroy. Lord Canning became the first Viceroy of India. The Queen's proclamation of 1858 promised that the Government of India would follow, firstly, a policy of non-intervention in social and religious matters of Indians. Secondly, they would treat all subjects, Indians and Europeans, as equals. Education and ability would be the basis of all appointments. Thirdly, they would grant a general pardon to all those who had taken part in the war except those who were found guilty of murder of British officials directly. Reorganization of the army was the another consequence of the revolt of 1857. The number of British troops in the British army was greatly increased, so that for every two Indians now there was one British soldier in Bengal regiment, and for every five Indian soldiers there were two British soldiers in Madras and Bombay regiment. More Gurkha, Sikhs and Pathans who had been loyal to the British during the revolt were recruited to the British army. The artillery was put entirely in British hands. After the uprising, Indian officers were never placed in charge of ammunition, nor they were allowed to use more sophisticated or modern weapons of war. It was done primarily to desist, means to stop the Indian soldiers from harboring or for planning any design of breaking out in rebellion. Our heritage. The Victoria Memorial is located in Kolkata. It was built in memory of Queen Victoria between 1906 and 1921. Its style of architecture is very similar to that of the Taj Mahal, and it is also built of marble. Today, it is a museum under the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Reasons for the failure of the revolt. First, the lack of unity among Indians. The revolt of 1857 did not involve all sections of Indian society. Most Indian rulers and zamindars who had benefited from British rule refused to join the rebellion. Further, while many parts of northern India rebelled, Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and West Punjab remained largely undisturbed. The next reason was the lack of a centralized leadership. The people who took part in the revolt did not know for certain what they wanted to do after seizing or gaining power from the British. They were opposed to British rule but were unable to provide any effective alternatives to it. So they tried to restore the old order of monarchy as they don't have any other choice other than this. However, the Mughal emperor was too old and weak to take on the British. Lastly, the cause was the lack of resources. Most of the rebels fought with swords and pikes and thus could not match the modern and sophisticated weapons of the British. They were brave and fearless but lacked discipline and organization, as all the rulers were fighting with the Britishers to save their own kingdom and own territories, not for the whole country. Further, the British also received constant means regular supplies of soldiers, arms and money from England. The revolt of 1857 paved the way for the rise of modern national movement. The sacrifices made by Lakshmi Bai, Nana Sahib and Mangal Pandey served as a source of inspiration to the leaders and people to fight for the independence of India from the British rule.